This is part two of Jabba of Runt of the Jabba litter. Laying in the occult darkness of our bedroom in that house on the cusp of inexistence, cul-de-sacing endlessly in loops of fruitless meditation, like a predestination of privation in all its various varicose forms, I realized with perfect certainty, and with the queasiness which comes with a hyperabundance of lucidity, that I didn't have the stomach to hit the kid, and there was simply nothing that could be done about it. And yet I knew beyond all doubt that I'd eat boiled oysters for dinner every night and shovel more dung than there was silt in the Mississippi River under Old Man Johnson's Soviet hillbilly regime if I didn't do what my father said. And by the time I reached my 12th birthday, I would look like the hill people that lived around my grandfather's property over in Manatee, who had the Civil War still fresh on their faces, like the dancing static electricity existing clandestine in the cottony flesh of freshly laundered fabric. All this would happen to me if I disobeyed my father, and to lie to him was impossible, like boring a hole through the sun with my eyes and coming out the other side into the vivifying blackness of ice-cold interstellar space, mazy with its crazy tunnels runneling through myriad massiveness castled by mapless nothingness. The next day I went around with all the gloominess of the apprehensive conspirator. I was like a would-be assassin stricken with metaphysics. Michael, the dork's red mouth haunted me like liquor on the breath of a shaky guy getting through his day at the office. I knew I had to gather my fist into a ball and crush it, like the giant cockroaches that darted in maniac vectors over the kitchen floor on winter dawns when the lights get turned on for the first time in the morning. Several times throughout the day, at lunch, at afternoon recess, in PE, I found myself standing next to him. It was clear that he'd moved on from our mix-up and had resumed his former snarky cheerfulness, lightly tinged with the irony that gathers in the minds and souls of the chronically unwanted. I marveled, in a sullen, morose kind of way, how this kid, this Michael, went through his day totally unaware that a shaky assassin loitered at his side, an outmoded hitman too fragile to work, his mind a tangle of bastard electricities, his hands like puppets without strings, sprawled, splayed like lifeless corpses, empty as balloons, festooned in nothingness, puffy with sulkiness. Before I could gather myself, in the face of a second-by-second apocalypse of nuclear nerves verved beyond the most insane, arcane revolutions of a mind obliterated by brass-knuckle solutions of caved brain fame and gruesome interpain, in mutual crucials of unbearable sterileness like fallow fields, fundused in eyes of slow reprisal, the day had passed, the school day. My opportunity to exact a revenge that would please my father had dwindled down to nothing, and now I was boarding the bus home, the day done, the school day done, the run of events having played themselves out as my mouth chewed my upper lip like a bubble-gum cud luscious in the mouth of a dreamy cow, my house coming into view in my mind some 20 minutes up ahead, the rest of the world following away into limbos of concentric vortex, hexagrammed into waves salacious, mendacious, capacious. Marooned on a vanishing island of opportunity, I sat beside Michael on the school bus, and I was instantly put into a frantic state, for his cheerfulness had enriched itself into a bizarre, utterly unexpected affection for me, he seeming, incredibly, happy to see me that day, to be flush in my company as if, having silently reconciled, he was peeking into the interior of my virtues, rich, copious, in happy elopement with the situation, bathed in a spray radiant as day, his smiling face on which his glasses were always sliding off, his giant glasses like rigging or scaffolding erected on that face I see in my mind's eye right now, tiny, feminine, thin-lipped, with the eyes of a rabid doe, fickle and frightened, spunky with something ugly and grossly quotidian, a weak, freaky little boy who annoyed everyone merely by taking up space in such a funky way, and into that face I intended to lay a punch somehow, and in some way, all before the school day came completely to a close and I found myself alone with my father at home. Nonchalantly, as if it were one of the innumerable minor events, accidents that compose our existence on the space-time continuum, I dropped my notebook between my legs and let it fall to the floor of the bus. When I came back up into the sitting position, just as Michael was putting a stick of gum in his mouth, I drove, putting some mustard into it, my elbow straight into his nose, sending his head reeling back and his eyes exploding in tears, his glasses half crushed against his face. 2 jets of red blood coursed instantly with a suddenness that caught me off guard from his nostrils, and his eyes went to mine, wild with fear and that same rage I had seen the instant I realized his fist was flying towards me that day on the playground, its feminine weirdness having become something ludicrously voluptuous, like a fat derriere on an emaciated woman. Apologizing to Michael profusely, I claimed it was an accident, that I felt terrible, and that I would make it up to him the next day. When my father came home from work, he went to the refrigerator and removed a can of beer and went into the living room and turned off all the lights and switched on the television set whose blue incandescence lent the living room the atmosphere of the macabre boudoir of a great sadist. When the news was finished, I heard my name snap from his mouth. I went in there to talk to him. He drove a Pepsi truck for a living, and he had taken off his uniform shirt so that now he sat in his white undershirt, the beer lightly cupped in his right hand as it was propped on the armrest. His eyes, very blue, nevertheless had achieved a strange murkiness, almost a turbidness, like perfectly clear water that is churned violently with a stick. When he asked me if I had hit Michael, I told him that I almost certainly broke his nose. My father said nothing. The dusk, the beer, the news on the television, mortgage rates and interest rates and interstate commerce and inner-city infrastructure, all that was making him sadistic and drowsy, soupy and lewd. His soft, cruel, foolish face, foppish, soft, dissipated, a balloon filled with sausage gravy, one pinprick away from popping. The Stygian light of the television brought out, extracted the dissipation of his face. It looked bruised under the eyes, over-rich, shiny, malleable as the Play-Doh whose smell got on my fingers and gave me nightmares. He looked to me like the zygote of Jabba the Hutt, the way tiny Jabba appeared in the humongous belly of his large, oozing mother. Perhaps there was a litter of such beings as my father. He was the runt of the Jabba litter. I wanted to touch his face, to explore it with my fingers like the blind men I saw in the movies. I don't know why I wanted to do this. When the next news show came on, he sent me away without a word. He hadn't said a single word the whole time. I went to the kitchen to get a glass of water to moisten my throat, which was so dry from this encounter with Billie Jean that I had a difficult time swallowing. As the lukewarm water from the sink lubricated my throat, my eyes came to rest on my father's forearm, the right one, in the next room. The only part of him I could see, laying there on the armrest like a predatory animal lazily lounging around the savannah, overfed and oversexed, sleepy, already slipping into dream, into the illusion of pursuit and acquisition, of aggrandizement and the healthy Luciferian pursuits of the well-adjusted, sophisticated modern man, whose gaze like a lighthouse strobe scans the dark waters of existence with a gorgeous roboticism, embolizing into blood clot polka dots in deranged doily pastiche, this forearm of my father's, that drowsy animal, always reaching, sleeping, seeking, resting, grabbing, releasing, fleeing, pleasing, freeing. If you like this kind of thing, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you very much.